Hey Paper Collage class, this is Miss Fairfield, and today we're going to be making some papers that we are going to be able to cut from to do our final project. You are going to need some paper like the mixed media paper that are in our drawing books, or you can use watercolor paper, whatever you happen to have at home, as long as you can take a little bit of water for this project. If you don't have that, you can just do the same kind of technique with colored pencils and then burnish it with a white or a colorless blender. But today we're going to be doing charging with watercolors. So we're going to have a wet surface with wet paint, and then we're going to charge it with another color. So I can't wait to show you how to do it. Okay, here we are going to do another watercolor paper for the mixed media class. And we are going to mix up some different colors. These are the colors that I have for the watercolor class. It's alizarin crimson, cadmium red. It's it doesn't really matter. Just choose whatever colors you like from the palette. And we're going to do a wet into some dry areas. And I don't know if you can tell, but my whole paper is not wet. I do have a little spray bottle here, a little spritzer. And we can use any of these colors that we like. This is alizarin crimson. And you're just going to drop it in and create these fun little shapes. Now it's going to make a hard line anywhere that the water has stopped. So if you want your color to, I'm going to drop in some more just so it's really nice and thick of color. Just tapping the color that's in my brush out onto the surface. And if you want this to bleed or to do anything else, you just kind of spritz it and it runs into all those little, sorry, my paper is not flat, obviously. So it can run into all of these different, I'm going to spray this bottom part so you can see what it's going to do. It's going to move into those little, cavities of water. You can also fling. Do not do this with your favorite clothes on because it does tend to bleed out or fling onto you. Some of my students know this very well. Thea and Izzy. We have the most colorful clothes in all of our classes. Okay, then you're just going to pick another color. I'm not going to choose green. It's opposite the color of red on the color wheel. So let's choose some of these different colors. I went from this end, so I'll just go down here to this end. And I'm charging this water with some of the color. It will move around and spray. You can even tap it. I always put a paper towel down. And you can even tap it and get some of these colors to run down the page. See if I can get that drop to go down. Otherwise, you can just charge the paper and spritz it with the water. So I'm putting a bunch in here, so hopefully you can see how it's moving over and making all these fun little vein type things. I'm not sure how to say that, but just move it around, have fun with it, fill up your page, mix your colors. I've got the blue and the red, so we should be getting some nice purples. The red is pretty, since it ran down. So I'm going to charge the red. That means I'm going to put more red inside the other color. Get that alizarin crimson, which is kind of a purpley red anyway, so it'll make a good purple. Move some of these colors around. Let it run off. You can also do, let's do lemon yellow. That's going to give us a bright green as it mixes with the blue. It will also give us a orangey color when it mixes with the red. Now all we're doing is having fun creating papers that we're going to cut up. So you don't really have to worry about painting something specific, because that's not what we're doing. We're just seeing how the paint flows, learning how watercolor works, learning our mixed media, all the different things we can do in our mixed media. And then we're going to turn these into other kind of projects. What color is that? That's phthalo blue. That's a bright. This is ultramarine. I like this. It's a nice dark purpley blue, so it's going to give us some good greens when it mixes in, and some beautiful purples when it mixes with the red. Don't forget, you can come in and use any of the colors that you've had and do your sprinkles or flings. If you slam it down really hard, you may get a lot more splatters that are larger. If you want the smaller, then you just kind of touch your brush like this. This is going to be a fun little project. Each one of these colors is going to bleed just a little. You could throw some salt in here. You could do some plastic wrap. You take just Glad plastic wrap like your mom has in the kitchen, and kind of crunch it up onto this, get your piece that's bigger than your paper, and you can scrunch it up on here, let it completely dry on its own, and you'll have some really neat little textures inside there. I'm going to take some of these that are really starting to blossom over, since this is a pad of paper where all the papers are stuck together until the very end. This was just a pad I had that I got as a freebie when I bought so many different watercolors or something, and they give you this little pad of paper. So I'm just using what I have. There isn't any reason you can't just use the mixed media paper from your sketchbook. It should work well for this because I'm not soaking the paper, and so all you really need is some watercolors. As you saw in the last video that may or may not get put up, I was just using the Crayola little box of the little white box with, the different colors. I don't know if you can see all these colors that splattered on me. Now these are watercolors, so it is going to come off of anything that got on your clothes or whatever. But this is all you're going to do, and you're going to make a couple of different ones, and we're going to cut them all up and make a really fun little floral. Okay, paper collage class. I was telling you in the last video, if you didn't have watercolors, some of the things you could do to create your own papers and have something to cut from in order to do our next project is to use colored pencils. So I like to do sections at a time with my colored pencils. So it's going to, you're going to use them sideways. I like to lay it, flat, but I do also turn it in my hand as I go, so I don't just get a big flat section. And then that one is raspberry. I mean, it doesn't matter what colors you use, but I'm going to put this blue violet right next to the raspberry. Just like I did in the watercolor, I'm going to combine the two colors by letting it go over, and you've got this lovely lavender, or it's kind of a dark purple actually, but it's more of a purpley tone like this. And you can go into any space that you have on the paper. I always leave a little bit, you know, just to cut away because it's easier that way. But you can just go all the way across this entire paper, or you can do a half page, whatever you would like to do. I don't want to accidentally grab the black, because that's not going to be. Okay, this one is, well, that's the blue violet. All right, so let's go into another color. And this one is dark purple. It says dahlia purple. Not really sure what that is, but I'm going to blend it into this blue and into this lavender a little bit. And pick back up on the mulberry, come into the color a little bit so I can get these different tones. And then just continue to fill in anywhere I can on this piece of paper. And then as you come across, you can either use a white or a colorless blender. I've got a white here, and that's going to pick up some of this purple and put it into the red, and it's going to pick up the red and put it into the blue as we do what's called burnishing. Now I'm going to kind of be pressing harder to get rid of all the little white crannies that are little dips and valleys that are in the paper, and it's going to completely get rid of those. Whoops, as I break my lid. Okay, probably going to have to go sharpen. So as I get all of these mixed together, it makes these beautiful tones for us to be able to have some papers made from. So I am getting close to having the wood onto the paper from breaking it. So I'm going to go sharpen these. I'll be right back. All right. So lay it down like this. Don't come up at all or you're going to break the tip off, you know, every time. So laying it down flat, and you're not pushing so hard that you're denting the surface of the paper. Oh, here we go again. But you're just trying to blend the colors that you have down there together and get rid of the whites of the paper. Get rid of those. And you can also burnish with another color. So I like this lavender here and here, but I could also choose to burnish with a color. So I'm going to push harder with the lavender so it goes into that red and into that blue and creates yet another color variation for me to use in my artwork. All right, this is your homework. I know it doesn't seem like a whole lot of fun, but when we start cutting it all up into our shapes and stuff to put them together for our collage, I think you're going to have a lot of fun doing that. All right, well, we'll see you next week. Get the entire page done, or at least half, minimum half. All right,